this. It is Monday, December. Actually, what day is it? December 27th. So we're 27 days in to December, and I think this might be day 30 of this whole thing. I'm so sorry about the weird like timing on the videos. It's just really hard for my computer to process them. You're gonna get this way later than I'm recording this, but that's alright. I'm okay with that. Consistency, not perfection. I might end up uploading multiple videos in a day. I don't know. Whatever. I'll figure it out. But I've been just kind of processing how yesterday went, how the day before that went, and in general, the kind of trends that I'm seeing in myself and interacting with my family and my tendencies. Although I'm overcorrecting for my past mistakes at this point, um, my attempts to be honest have been rather brutal and unintentionally. I still prefer this over half dead oversimplifications and politeness, but I think I'm causing harm, you know? I'm just worried that I'm bad for my family in that sense. I know the worst thing that I can do is simply not show up at all, as that I have handled it in the past, whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally showing up. Um, the worst thing I can do is simply abdicate my role as this person that I am in the family, but I'm also not playing a specific role. I'm just showing up as myself. That is the only goal that I have in mind. I just accidentally, because of being around everyone for so long, wearing myself down, wearing myself thin, some parts of me that I don't necessarily communicate well came out, and I said things out loud that I definitely didn't mean to, and I definitely didn't intend to, and it was so much more harmful than helpful. I genuinely felt that way. Like, I genuinely felt frustrated. I think what I said was something like, yeah, I'm really glad I'm not a parent because, like, I feel like I'm parenting you guys right now or something like that. And it was so immature. Like, the way that I said it wasn't helpful. It didn't cause anything positive, you know? But it's still like, yes, it's authentically how I felt. It is authentically how I felt like they were absent of having parents and were therefore acting like children. And so I was the only person being like somewhat mature about the game, or the ways that they talked, the ways that they joked, the ways that they interacted. It's just not like normal human society. It's like just being a teenager. It's just being in that side of the world, which is like fine, except I'm not a teenager anymore, and I'm like recognizing how unhealthy those behaviors were. And so obviously I'm like concerned about them, like, dude, that's so unhealthy that you're using that as a coping mechanism. Like, you have to actually like grow and develop past this. But it like makes sense considering the context that they're behaving that way. But it's still like it's hard because I've been there, and it's hard because I've in myself, for myself, I needed to grow in this area. And it's not like I'm better than them in that. It's just that, like, I can see that that isn't actually helping them. Their coping mechanisms are, I don't know. It's just, like, hard when you try and put more pressure on yourself to behave certain ways with people, and you inevitably fail. And leadership is good, except for when it's unasked for. Leadership is good except for when it's unasked for, and it was unasked for, you know? And I know that you can't always ask for it, but like, me and my sister have that relationship where I can call her out on stuff, but me and my brother do not. Like, we simply don't. And it's just really, really hard when I'm trying to recognize, hey, this feels really bad for me. Like, this is not good for me. I feel really off. Versus just being like, saying things in a way that is far more destructive than intended. Um, Man, I'm rambling about this for a bit, but like, I need to learn from this, you know? Like, I need to move past it, but I also need to be like, yo, please don't say things like that. Like, that's not fruitful or helpful. Like, yeah. So it's just a delicate balance, I think, between honesty and brutal honesty. I still prefer being honest, over fake happy, you know? Like, I would rather be confidently, like, myself than just being like, I'm just gonna disappear. I don't know why I'm messing with my hair so much. But it's still like, it came out way harsher than I intended. And it's just been this pattern as it comes out as judgment. And it's not like where my heart is. My heart is like, I'm concerned. My heart is like, I see an absence in growth and I'm concerned about that. And it's not necessarily like there's one specific outcome that there should be. It's just like, wow, it's just shocking that this is the situation that it is. There's so many other emotions going on right now, like with my parents, the way that things are with them, and my grandma, the way that she is and how she acts. It's just generational differences combined with religious preferences, combined with, you know, so much history and baggage. Um, like, that's why my brother and I have such a strained, like, communication with these things. Like, it would be okay, I think, if I was, like, my older sister saying this stuff, because she has consistently shown up and, like, having fun with him and encouraging him and building up fruitful things. Where I was in high school, I was in an unhealthy place with, like, my own perfectionism and my own rigorous, ridiculous standards for myself, that when I failed to measure up, I was cruel to myself. And so when other people failed to measure up, I was cruel to them. And I'm being careful about that now, because as I'm saying this, I still feel like that people from the outside could look at what I'm doing now and say that it's the exact same thing. Like, the shift is invisible. It's completely invisible. It's in my heart to say, like, I love my brother. Like, I love them so much that it's hard for me not to say, hey, this seems really unhealthy, and it seems like y'all are not taking good care of yourselves in this. Versus where I was before, which was like, you are not living up to my standards for myself, and so therefore you're wrong. I'm trying to delicately balance between that, like, hey, this seems unhealthy, versus, hey, you're unhealthy, or like, hey, you're the problem. And it's just coming out wrong because it's so hard, and it's been so long since we've just hung out as a family, and it's just spending so much time together versus, going from spending zero time together to spending, like, all our time together is shocking. And it's really hard to balance everything. For me, at least. It's hard for me to be kind and gracious and honest and true to myself and true to what I know without it coming out twisted. I also, lately, just being home, this is just like a little thing that tends to happen. I forget that I have a life outside of this. Like, I forget that I have a school to go back to. I forget that the wider world exists, and it's all just the pain and the problems in front of me. And I know that that's from, like, past stuff too, but I feel myself forgetting what I love. And I feel myself forgetting what is true about myself. And I feel myself hating myself again a little bit. A lot. A little bit. And I have to be fighting it. I have to be saying, yo, I'm actually pretty great, and I also think my siblings are pretty great. It's not a competition thing. It's just that, like, we're all great. It's just like, I'm concerned about my family. I'm concerned about my brother. I'm concerned about my sister. And it's not about them being less good. It's just, I'm worried about their priorities and where their central, like, guiding, and I can't fix it. I can't do anything to fix it. And that's part of why I'm doing this vlog, is to remind myself that the only thing that I have control over, the only thing that I can truly change is myself, as far as, like, my posture towards them, my heart towards them, and my priorities being placed more heavily on my own development rather than their success or failure. I can't change them at all. And all I can try to do is communicate that I love them. And sometimes I'm doing that rubbish. Like, I'm doing that in a bad way, doing that in a way that is rubbish. Honestly, it's just like completely frustrating how I can try and say the right things and try and communicate them, and it just comes out so twisted in my head. Like, the communication between my heart and my head and my mouth is just not good, and it's really frustrating. I got to talk to my sister long enough that we got past that. We got past my, like, dumb generalizations and the way that my emotions were speaking. But, like, I didn't get to do that with my brother because he dipped. So, I don't know. It's a delicate, very delicate balance. And I know I'm screwing it up really bad, and yeah, we'll see. I don't know. They'll still be my siblings regardless, but it's just, this is a very perilous time in general with my family. And it's in a very, like, not pensive, that's not the right word. Precarious. Precarious is a better word than perilous. It's a very precarious time. I know that pushing anything too far to one side will just cause everything to tumble. There's still an undercurrent of grace, I think. There's still an undercurrent of you were still going to be there for each other no matter what. But it just feels so perilous and so precarious because there's so much that we never thought was going to be crumbling that is crumbling now. So many things we thought would always be true that are becoming untrue. And so there's this precariousness of not only our familial situation, but our core beliefs about reality are feeling more perilous than they ever have before. Precarious. I keep using those words interchangeably. More precarious than it ever has before. And I'm struggling. Struggling is the best word for it. I'm struggling to merely exist as a positive existence, trying to facilitate positive change towards growth, at least in myself, so that love for them is eminent. I don't know the right word. Evident. There we go. Imminent plus evident. Evident. And I know, like, there's ways I can be doing it better, but it's just, like, so hard to shake old habits. Like, it's so hard to overcome the automatic go-to response, which is usually wrong. Like, it's usually wrong, and I know it was wrong for me to just be like, hey, this is bothering me this way, and I'm letting my frustration show. But, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm going to be going and working on some projects with my dad, doing some yard work and housework, not necessarily yard work, housework, to try and get his house a little more underway. It's so difficult to try to do everything that we're doing and still be okay emotionally at the end of the day, and mentally and spiritually okay at the end of the day. It's, we're getting hit by so many attacks, honestly, like life throwing bombs at us, and it's fine. It's gonna happen regardless, but we're throwing bombs at each other too, and that needs to chill out, needs to stop. It's okay to say things in a loving way, but if they're received in a way that isn't fruitful, they aren't loving. It's not loving if the person's not ready to hear it. It's not loving if the person's not mature enough to handle it. It's not loving if you're doing it in a way that makes you feel like you're superior. And it doesn't matter that my heart was in the right place. It matters that my mouth was not, And so that's where I think it's really hard, because no matter how good my heart and my intentions are, my mouth will always mess up a little bit. And I can try and make up for it with explanations or other things, but it's always gonna be hard. Um, yeah. Oof. I'm just sad right now in general. I don't know what else to say about that. I also want to add that the more time I've spent at home and with my family in general lately, it's just been more and more revealings of unexplained brokenness. My experience of my childhood is becoming more and more revealed, and there's so much pain that I didn't know other people were experiencing, and I also didn't realize the true protection that I was so sheltered in. Like, I've had a completely different experience growing up than my siblings did, and my own experiences just of my own life and things that I've struggled with are so completely different. It's a really, really delicate balance of trying to be sensitive while still being like, hey, there's room for growth, there's room for healing, and the mistakes don't define you. They aren't really the end all be all of your life. It's just really, I think it's really just been a grieving process, as well as the idea I had of my childhood. The perception that I held of it is becoming completely fragmented and shattered. The ideas I held about my siblings, my parents, my other family members are just being completely demolished, and it's kind of been a bit shocking, honestly. But that's what happens when you don't just feed into your own false reality, your own false ideas of what's happening. You have to be honest in order to grow. You have to be honest about where things are in order to see where they could go in the future. I'm always going to be an optimist by choice, not by nature, that there can be a better way to grow, and there can always be healing and always be growth. That's a choice that I'm making, and it's not easy, but I'm also not just going to be a passive observer of the reality that's going on. I will be, to some extent, a passive observer, but I have to also show up and be myself, which is extremely difficult. Harder, much harder, but anyway, I'm gonna go get ready for the day, shower, get dressed, all that good stuff, and go get some gas for my car before I go help run around with my siblings and get things done. I need time to process this stuff. Like, I'm so glad I'm staying with Aaron, but like, I feel like I need a week to process what the crap just happened to my reality. It is breaking, and it's okay, and it's good because it's true, but it's still hard, as it always will be. So, gonna go get ready, but I'll talk to you guys later. See if I can talk later, but yeah.
Okay,
Good evening. I just come back from my family's where we were playing some games, and I played a bunch of video games today, which is super weird for me. I don't remember the last time I played Breath of the Wild, but I forgot how much of the game I've completed. I know it's only like 34% of the full game, but I've done like all the shrines, and I have like full maximum stamina, like 3 circles of it, plus like, a ridiculous number of hearts. And I've done almost all the side quests. I think there's only 10 I haven't done. I think maybe 15 total I haven't done. And of course I've done everything except defeat Ganon, which you're not going to do unless you don't want to play the game anymore. But yeah, that's I forgot how much of that I did. I have a ton of like Korok seeds too, of course, but like I forget how far I got in it until I was playing it today, and I was like, dang, I barely remember how to play this game. It has been a long time. I like forgot the shortcuts and other stuff too. So it's weird. Like it became such a second nature to me. But again, it is like the only video game I've consistently played other than like Sims and other games. Like I enjoy video games, but it can be like a little bit um it can take away from my ability to give everything to what else I'm doing. So anyway, that I'm rambling, but yeah, today was a good day. I think it was a lot better, I think, than the last few days of hanging out with my siblings. I got to have a lot more positive interactions, a lot more just chilling, relaxing together. The thing is, I'm such like a high productivity expectations person at this point that like I think I was trying too hard to like perform the family interaction. Like I wanted to have hard conversations all the time and call them out on like I was just trying to get an A plus in family interactions too. Um but like it just doesn't matter. Like it does not matter. In fact, it made them worse when I was like trying too hard. Um so just relax. You're okay. You're going to be fine. Um yeah, that's pretty much it. I had a thought on like an idea for a channel video. I don't know. I'll try it later, but that's it for now.